Give me a second. Let me get biblical illumination today to set this paradigm, to make sure people don't get caught up in nothing hatred. So let's give it a second. Let's give it a second, man. And we're going to get to it real fast. Let my people tap in. Tap in, my brothers and sisters. We getting ready to get started in 1 second. You don't want to miss this illumination. Share it with your friends. Put your shares on. Tell everybody we live. It's going down. Give me 1 second. We just getting set. We just getting set. Yep. Peace. Tap in. Tap in, everybody. Tap in. We're getting ready to get this show on the road in a couple of seconds. Peace. Oh, hold on 1 second. Hello? What up? I'm getting ready to go live real fast. Oh, shit. Oh, hot. All right. Call me back. Where you go? Where you headed? I'm just getting off from work. Okay, I'll call you in a hot second, okay? All right. Okay, later. Peace. Oh, I thought I hung up. I'm live, man. Yes, everybody. Peace. Just setting up. Peace, everybody. Peace and love. Peace. Y'all don't want to miss this illumination. We about to get it started. Yep, I got you, bro. I got you covered. Peace. Peace. I want to start off by saying love, truth, peace, freedom, justice, and my 2 cents. Much health, much wealth, Man, divine creed and nationality. Peace to all the Moors, peace to all the true light seekers, and just peace. We're going to have a beautiful, beautiful discussion today. We're going to talk about some topics because I'm going to show you how I don't want you to get caught up in, how can I say it, spookism, and not fully explaining certain phrases when you have people that have their religious dogmatic perspective because they operating on color and caste and time, which is no thing, as neither one of those. So get your pencils and get your papers, and we're going to illuminate a phrase and a group of people called, what people may call, and I'm going to give you a second to do a little history, L-A-B-A-N. And I'm going to, and tell me what that means in Hebrew real fast. And then we're going to break it all the way down because I'm going to show you how people don't really have a full illumination on linguistics and context. When I speak on things, when we say white per se, and we use the analogy as pure per se, like the white of our garments per se, like the whiteness of linen per se, in certain contexts. And so when you see things, you're going to say, when certain religious people, with all due respect to my Hebrew Israelite brothers, when they say the other man is Laban, then you really have to start doing an etymology check, ethnicity and origin, and really start seeing what you're saying. Because once you start researching from an educational perspective, from an origin perspective, you're going to have to check yourself. Because once again, you must deal with context. And you can't teach, or you can't, how can I say, arbitrarily explain things if you don't know the context. So once again, I'm going to give you all a phrase called Laban, L-A-B-A-N. For any of my people out here, research real fast and tell me what that means, just the basics, and we're going to have a discussion. We're going to have a discussion on context. So I want my brothers and sisters to be studious when you have people out here with this religious dogma, this prejudice stuff. And I tell people, brothers are lost due to a lack of knowledge because you refuse to learn. We can deal with Hebrew and what Hebrew really means. That's just the act. In the biblical scriptures, it's a plethora of people, the Amorites, the Amalekites, the Amorites, the Canaanites. It's a plethora of people in the biblical scriptures. And when we explain things, once again, for all my religious people, my Hebrew Israelites, my Moors, my Christians, everybody, especially those that teach and preach hatred and separation, when they say some other man is the devil, and I'm not rocking with that. I'm just not rocking with that. So, once again, for all my brothers that say they Hebrew Israelites, etc. What is Laban? L-A-B-A-N. And if it's explaining a certain individual, what's the ethnicity of that individual? And the context. Going to blow your mind. So I'm waiting to see if anybody have a clear understanding. Because we already had to illuminate one of these Hebrew Israelite brothers from Love. And he said, Sheik, I never looked at that. And he said, we all owe the role of apology. I said, no, you don't. I said, you owe it to yourself and the things that people have been promulgating. And once you know the truth, it's on you to separate from falsehoods because your life depends on it. So I heard a brother try to use this phrase in a derogatory statement when he told the other individual, hey, you know, W-H-I-T-E, boy, you know, based off his you per se, right? But when you start researching biblical times, in certain times, because remember, it wasn't no jurisdiction on color per se. Because if you really look up Israelite and ethnicity, it don't say African. It says Asian, of a copper color race. When you see what an American is in the 1828 Webster Dictionary, research what an American is, copper color races. And then you research what an Israelite is biblically in origin, And I'm not saying they're not African and this not in the area, but I'm saying when you research things, when you see things, you have to remove the prejudiced eye. And it should do what? Make you research a little bit more. It should make you research a tittle more. So once again, for all my brothers that preach hate and they lost in mistranslation, when I talk about black and bleach and all these things mean void of color and this, not, and the other, and I tell people things are written in reverse and you're not catching it because you're under a prejudiced eye. Your heart is hardened like Pharaoh. Most religious people. I don't care if you Al-Islam Muslim saying the other man is the devil, or I don't care if you a so-called Hebrew Israelite and saying the other man is the devil. Clearly, you lost. Clearly. So once again, for all my brothers and sisters that operate under religious dogma, when you say your religion is better than the next man, especially those that try to use color as a speaking point, you got to tell me what Laban mean in Hebrew. And then we're going to deal with the context. So I'm waiting for somebody to type that on there. This should be simple research for all my brothers that say they this, or they Hebrew this, or they that, or people using black and all these things and not understand context. This is prerequisites. I'm just giving a schoolmaster. I'm not even complex. For all my brothers and sisters that say they Hebrew Israelite, they should be having a lexicon. They should have all the Hebrew scriptures to be able to interpret the word. If not, then if you read English, then you lost. Because there wasn't a J in a Hebrew dialect. Period. So you lost. So what you doing? You arbitrarily explaining these words and you're not looking them up in the lexicon and you're not looking up the context. I have to show a brother where I said, brother, you lost. Most brothers on TikTok lost because there's no application. It's just posting stuff. I'm going to ask again for my brothers and sisters that's religious, that's saying playing this color game. What does Laban mean in Hebrew? And stay in context. I keep asking my brothers and sisters and they go strictly off the dip end. And I say, but you say you a Hebrew Israelite per se. So you should understand the connotations and the context of what I'm speaking on. Just like in the biblical scripture, it speaks on certain different things that's not right. Okay, this person said white, but white meaning what? In the context, I get that. Just like if I get the Anglo-Saxon dictionary and then I ask you to look up white and how it's spelled in the context, it's not going to be spelled how we spelled the WHITE, void of color, or bleach. It's not gonna be spelt the same way when we dealing with what? White. I just told y'all. When we dealing with what? The Anglo-Saxon dictionary. The Anglo-Saxon dictionary. When we deal with the Anglo-Saxon dictionary, you're gonna research what white really mean from scholarship. So I tell people, most religious people, they only caught up in the color spectrum because you don't see the science and what's going on. Listen to the duality and the context. You always have to listen to the context. Aha, I'm glad brother Am said, now watch this. Laban, brother of Rebekah and father of Rachel and Leah in Genesis, traditionally symbolizing what? You got to finish it out. Because if it's saying that and then somebody say white, now you got to say one thing. Did he marry this or were they this? If you pertaining it on, or if you saying it on that level. Because when you look up the biblical scriptures, are you saying these people were this? Are you saying this people is that? Because if you're saying them ethnicity, WHITE in this context, so who WHITE? I'll wait. Because while used as a biblical name, Rebekah's brother, the word itself means white, shiny, or pure. It can also symbolize innocence, or in some rabbinic interpretations, refer to a whitened appearance. A white appearance. So when you say you could say Sheik showed up or brother Am showed up and he was bright white. His garments was white. He was white. His radiance was white. His countenance was white. Not in when I show you in the hadiths, with all due respect, when they talk about the whiteness of Muhammad's underarms, that's a whole nother topic. When I show you what that Catholic stuff really reveals, I hope people stand the context. But this is how we get caught up in this color thing. And we miss what we need to be talking about ourselves. Now, key details about Laban in Hebrew. Stay in context. Biblical significance. Laban is the son of Bethuel. So if in the context, if you say Laban mean white, and Laban is the son of Bethuel and the brother-in-law of Jacob, known for his role in Genesis. So if Laban, and we use it in this context as a European Albert, a Treladite, is the son of Bethuel, who is Bethuel, and the brother-in-law of Jacob, known for his role in Genesis, where if we saying these are Israelites, this, that, and the other, if you saying, where if we saying Laban and we put it in the context of a European person, or Albert, a Treladite per se, then who is that? I'll wait. I want you to be a philosopher today. I want you to be a theosophist today. We're using our brains and reason. We're teaching today. We're teaching today. So I hope my brothers and sisters that's under this religious dogma, because I don't hold no punches, I'll do the Al-Islam thing later and show you how all that stuff come from the watchtower. With all due respect. So once again, my brothers and sisters, if the biblical significance, Laban is the son of Bethuel and brother-in-law of Jacob, known for his role in Genesis, and you say the context, in this context, Laban mean white. So is Bethuel white? And who in Jacob family is white? You see, I'm just saying, because I'm not here to say what nobody is saying. What I'm here is I'm asking brothers and sisters questions, so we can get a clear thing, because we got even more. We got even more. We talk about root word and etymology. When I talk about lexicons, when I say context, I'm like, dude, this is no argument or no debate. When we talk about root words, the name comes from the Hebrew root, Lavan, associated with, now watch this, being white, purifying or making white. So what are we saying in context? Idiomatic uses, Hiram, Degal, Lavan, what? To surrender. Raised a white flag. In that context, you raised the white flag. You quit. A direct translation, it means to color white. But the biblical significance, we broke it down already, right? Laban, the son of Bethuel and brother-in-law of Jacob, known for his role in Genesis. So if we say that, and then a religious brother, if they talking to another man and they say, well, forget you, Laban man, are they making any sense? What are we saying? Because I just heard that argument with two brothers, and the educator hit me up. He was like, that's why we love you, brother. And I said, why? Because the truth is the truth. The truth is the truth. What are we saying? And how are you using it? In a context, how are you using that word? The root word, the name comes from the Hebrew root, Lavan, associated with what? Being white. Being white, what you mean? Purifying or making white. So in a context, let's reverse it. If you calling somebody a white man and that meaning white, so do that mean they the best? You see how you can play devil's advocate with that? I want you to have sound reason and understand it. I don't want you to believe nothing from me. Idiomatic uses, I broke that down. To surrender, lit, raise the white flag. To publicly insult or shame someone. Made his face white. To launder money, whiten money. Remember, we always talk about the denotation and the connotation of words. Well, the connotation, while it literally means white, literally. Like I could say, this top is literally white. I could say this top is literally white. And then we get on subjective and objective. But I could say that top is literally white. While it literally means white in the case of biblical figure Laban. Listen to what I'm saying. I hope my brothers and sisters is listening. Connotation. So I hope you know what a denotation means. See, this is too simple. Research what denotation mean and then research what connotation mean. These are two tools in the toolbox of academia. Denotation connotation. While it literally means white, in the case of the biblical figure Laban, okay, is sometimes interpreted as whitening, a disguise, or according to different scholars, symbolize a supernal whiteness. So now you have to understand context that transcends color, notes, etc., and so on. Come on, y'all. We always have to be in proper context. We always have to be in proper context. Always, no matter how no one feel. If they upset about it, that's okay. That's okay. Now, the biblical figure Laban, brother of Rebekah, was not described as white in terms of modern European race. His name in Hebrew, Lavan, translate to white, likely referring to fair skin. Stay with me. A nickname or a symbolic innocence. Just like when you call somebody light-skinned. Everything's about context. Stay with me. To white, likely referring to fair skin, a nickname or symbolic innocence, rather than, no disrespect, a Caucasian ethnicity. Now watch this. I'm about to give you all the word because I'm going to show you all another ancient book before I close, and I'm going to give you all the opportunity to get it from me for a donation. If you want. If not, it's okay. As an Aramean or Aramean, Aramean, Aramean. And when you start researching this thing, when you look up, when it's like on the SF 181 forum and it says, mark everyone that's pertaining to you, and they'll not tell people, just look up white, because words have synonyms and you have to know how to navigate. It's going to explain everything. You're going to be like, well, this me, of course, not African and all that black land. Now some other ones can be you, but that one's going to explain it all in its entirety without a shadow of a doubt. But that's a whole nother topic. Now watch this. As an Aramean, Aramean, from where? Mesopotamia. He likely had olive brown skin. Now, when you get in the 1828 Webster Dictionary, tell me what an American is. And then I'm going to show you in the 1828 Webster Dictionary, I'm going to show you what a Hebrew is. Now, the word's going to have synonyms. You're going to be like, okay, well, these are synonyms. Just like brunette, just like swarthy, you know? So when I go back to certain words like olive and brown, what does the 1828 Webster Dictionary say what an American consists of? I'll wait. I want to give me some tea. It won't take time. On my YouTube, Crip and Sense, a Bow Wow, people said, copper color rapist. Peace and love, growth and development to you, God. Crip and Sense, a Bow Wow. But yeah, but absolutely. So we could start seeing that things synonymous. I start showing people that the 6-point star and a so-called 5-point star belong to us. In masonry, they use it both, but they gave us technology to look at each other as not gods. But that's a whole nother topic. That's a whole nother topic. But the context of the name Laban was Aramean. Keep that in your hippocampus, y'all, right? Because now we getting with ethnicity and stuff. So they couldn't be the other man. If you saying these Lebanon and all this is Aramean. I hope you connecting these dots. We just stand in proper context. Watch this. Laban was a Aramean living in Haran, Mesopotamia. The name Laban means white. Watch this. Watch this. This is so simple. Physical description. Now watch this. They say the Bible don't, but I'm going to give you history. The Bible does not explicitly describe, and when I say explicitly, it just don't say his skin black per se. It might give you descriptive words per se. And if you research in the words, you will be able to put the puzzle together. How? With the information that you have to explain how can I say, descriptive you of that individual in a certain context, if I'm making sense. But the Bible does not explicitly describe his skin color in modern racial terms. However, individuals from that region, listen to this and listen to this clearly. Individuals from that region and era typically have olive, brown, or brown skin, not the pale skin associated with modern definitions of white people, with all due respect. Just like when you get David McRitchie, and he have 2 volumes. It's called The Ancient and Modern Britons. I really, really recommend that. You can get that from me. I'll give it to you as an ebook for free. All you got to do is email me. I'm telling you. Symbolic interpretation. Some scholars interpret the name white to imply fair or bright skin compared to others. Just like, say, if we were dark, black, blue, and we were way, way lighter than that, some may perceive, be like, oh man, you're white compared to this individual. If you stand in context, not saying your ethnicity is white. If you follow me, to imply fairer or brighter skin compared to others, or in some contexts, a lack of spiritual righteousness. It can mean a lack of spiritual righteousness in this context too. So you have to understand and stay in proper context. Playing on white as pure, whereas Laban was deceptive. You see? Isn't that something, right? So it's a book called The World of the Arameans. A lot of these books I was able to lecture in academia, you know? And I tell people, don't let nobody get you caught up in one context of understanding and limit your wisdom. That's a cap. We don't do that in no true brotherhood. Not me. Let me find something for y'all. Gratitude, Clarence. Now I'll just read something for Brother Clarence Hunter. If you on here, brother, peace and love for the kind word, brother. He said, I did not look into my PayPal for your response, but thank you for the quick response, sir. Also, there will be more donations coming to you as well. I will say that you are the top of this work in this divine and national movement. Thank you, brother. What's your name again? Clarence Hunter, the fourth. Gratitude for your kind words, Noble. Gratitude for your kind words, man. I'll just try to, do what I do regardless of how anybody feel about what I'm doing. I'll do and I say what I do with a bullhorn on any corner with love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. So gratitude for the kind words, Noble. But you can find in biblical scripture, if you want to kind of reference or get yourself on the path to researching this specific topic, I can give you biblical scripture. Give me a second. It's in Deuteronomy 26:5. When it talks about the Aramean Christian community with its deep historical roots, gain a recognition from the Israeli parliament and the wider faith community. These modern disciples of Jesus, Yahshua per se, bring to life the ancient history of Israel and the early Masonic community of the 1st century AD. The Aramean roots, culture, and language date back over 3,000 years, spreading across the so-called Middle East through conquests and migrations. Aramaic was a common language among the so-called Jews in Israel and Galilee during the Second Temple period through the time of Yahshua. So I was just setting a little precedent, of the Aramean, that culture and where you can really start getting an idea when a person will say, well, we just this. And you can say, well, how are we just this? And you have this and this and this and this and this and this and this per se. But hold on, I want to show you some things. It might be all the same, but a little scholasticness for you can. Ah, okay, it's the same. Okay, so good. So we talk about the name Laban, right? Laban or Laban or Laban, Laban, right? And we know the meaning, white. Now, when we talk about these things, I'm just going to go off the dome, Bloombach. That whole thing of white per se comes from Bloomback. And today, there's no thing, with all due respect, as white per se. We can say white is void of color, with all due respect. And we can say that theory of that as context pertaining to some head, to some Caucasus mountain, is all Eurocentric and Negrocentric propaganda. And I can say that without a shadow of a doubt, from no biasness, with love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. You know? So when we say these words like Laban, meaning white, and then the etymology from the adjective Laban, from the adjective white, so it's from the adjective. So now you have these related names, Labana, Labanan, Labana, Labana, Labini, Siborn, Ibeneth, and so on and so forth. But the name Laban in the biblical text, this is what I always try to ask a person. I say, well, how is the name being used? Is the name, just like, okay, let me reverse. This is a better explanation. Say if you were to the spelling bee, and I told you to spell niggas. And you spell it, all right, like, I'd rather be a hit or not understanding the accent, because you put it in a sentence, and the origin, and the root of the word, and the etymology of the word. And when you see the etymology, the root, the origin of the word, you'll be like, oh, damn, this word is associated to these great group of people in this certain region that had this and that and other. Oh, wow. You see what I'm saying? Am I making sense to you? I hope I am. Do that little research. You can find it on YouTube. The young little boy was asked to spell niggas. And from his hippocampus as a young scholar, as a young man, no matter what the color is, he acts in the right way. Give it to me in a sentence. Can you give me the etymology of the word? But man, can you give me the origin of the word? Can you give me the root of the word? Oh, I said when he did that, I said, I know where he's going. Because I already knew what word they wanted him to spell. They ain't wanting him to spell the one you think. When I said he's going to ask for the etymology, they were like, how you know? I said, look, because I'm a linguist. That's how. So let's proceed. The name Laban in the Bible. So when you give somebody that name or even try to use that in a how can I say it, misproper connotation, there are one man and one settlement named Laban in the Bible. Laban, the town, is mentioned in Deuteronomy 1:1 as the one of the markers between which Moses conveyed the word of who? The YHWH, which is Yahweh, however you want to pronounce it. I'm not arguing with that neither. To Israel, Laban, the man was, and what? Aramean, Aramean, living in Padoram. He was the son of Bethuel. So if you say Bethuel, copper color razor, with all how these brothers be doing, and then use this Laban out of context and say this is me, I said, dude, man, that can be easily, somebody should be like, well, please hold on, help that person, and tell them to calm down. Don't you think? I'm not making this of how I feel because there's no separation. This should be an awakening. Let's proceed. Laban was an Aram living in Padoram. He was the son of Bethuel, son of Nahor, with Milcah, the brother and niece of Abraham. Right? Am I right or am I wrong? the brother and niece of Abraham. You can find that in Genesis 24 and 29. Laban was also the brother of Rebekah and father of Leah and Rachel, the wives of Jacob, right? So were they? So if you're gonna use this in a context of European and white, and when you try to say somebody is that a different nationality, or the other man was the wives of Jacob, WHIT? Yes or no? Yes or no? Watch this. Watch what they say. Watch what they say, y'all. Was the wives of Jacob WHITE? Yes or no? We got to stop right there and see what people are saying. We got to see what people are saying. Was the wife of Jacob WHITE? Yes or no? My noble cracking up. He said, somebody answer. Watch this. Let's see. Anybody? Anybody want to answer that? Was the wives of Jacob WHITE? Brothers and sisters, yes or no? Because if we answer wrong, then we gonna then it's gonna we got to go all the way back, and then people don't want to go where I'm gonna go with it, because you're gonna start questioning a lot of things and who God or not God, because you can't be jealous of yourself. So once again, was the wives of Jacob WHITE? Can anybody say yes or no? Because we clearing these things up, how people use things out of context. I'm just waiting for my brothers and sisters that study. That's all I'm just waiting to see if somebody will give me a response. Anybody. Do anybody? I'll give a couple more minutes and see. Do anybody? Crippin' sense a bow wow. You said yes. Yes, what, Noble? Yes to what? I'm on my YouTube channel with one brother. His name, he got Crippin' sense of bow wow. I respect you. But I said, you saying yes, that they were what? I'll wait to see. Yeah, anybody say anything? I'm just waiting. Because I like to have feedback. Let me see. Anybody saying anything? I don't know. Yeah, they are what? Yeah, you said Crippin', yeah, they are what? Crippin said, yeah, they are. I don't know what Crippin saying, yeah, they are what? You have to explain yourself a little bit more to me. Because I don't want to put nothing on you and say you said and you didn't. You got to be a little bit more, with your boy. You said they are what, brother? I'm waiting for at least somebody gave me wrong response on my other platform. He said yes they are, but I don't know what he mean when he said yes they are. Are you saying they are the other man or the brother man? Let's say it like that, politically correct. Let me see. Well, I'll wait till. I just want somebody to give me something so we can have a good discussion. Nobody saying nothing. The brother man. Ah, okay. Hey, Kirby, hey, Kirby, hey, I respect. Okay. Therefore, brother, I love that. At least you said something to me, man. You got to get my email, man. If I can send you a gift, piece of literature. But now watch this. Now, this is how people use things out of context. Because if so, Crippin, since a bow wow, if so, oh, he said stepped away for a second. Can you repeat the question? Absolutely. I said, okay, let's reverse. Now we already put the word or the so-called Laban. The man was a Aramean living in Padaram. He was the son of Bethuel. He was the son of Bethuel. So now we're talking about his lineage. Just check this out, because we setting the precedent. Son of Nahor with Milcat. So once again, we going back to this one individual first. Now let me break it down for everybody can follow me. For they won't say he said this. Laban, the man, was an Aramean. So Laban, the man, was a Aramean. So now the man, Laban, was an Aramean. So now, are you preferring the word Laban to white? So are you saying the white man was an Aramean? Or are you saying Laban pertaining to his countenance, his actions, these words? Because if you are, how can you say that to the other man in some derogatory connotation? When these brothers try to use that on the other man, and I said, brother, you taking that total out of context, and the other person is a scholar, educator. And I said how white brothers just be so respectful. And I said, why? Because wisdom don't go like that. Wisdom doesn't go like that. Not when you get to the level of Buddha. Peace. Wisdom don't go in that area. It has no jurisdiction. Now, nobody has a problem with who you are, but wisdom has no jurisdiction when wisdom is being imparted, especially if it's scholarship. With all due respect, no matter who it's coming from. Because if your kid go to academia, most of the professors don't look like you. They don't look like them. And most of our kids, when you say we want to get a good education, where you send them to? A private school. I bet you there ain't no teachers there that look like me. See what I'm saying? So we have to be truthful with what we saying and what we promulgating. So, but watch this, God. Watch this. So, but living in Padaram, he was the son of Bethuel, son of Nadar, with Michael. So he was the son of Bethuel, son of Nahor, with Michael. So now you got to see who those individuals are. If he was the son of somebody, you got to see who the parents are. I'm sure, right? Come on now. The brother and niece of who? Abraham. I don't care if you say canonically Abraham. You're not going to play semantics with no one that's going to teach righteousness. We're not going to let nothing separate man. Because I can show you how both connected. People just off how? Linguistically. I promise you this. With all due respect, I already synchronized it with love. I promise you. With love, it's already been done. I do it again over and over. I teach in circles. I'll show you how we off. How? Linguistically. I promise you this. So if he was the brother and niece of Abraham, Genesis 24 and 29, Laban was also the brother of Rebekah and father of Leah and Rachel. If he was the brother of Rebekah, who is Rebekah? And he was the father of Leah and Rachel, who is Leah and Rachel. But then also Leah and Rachel was the wives of Jacob. So now my whole question is at the end of this whole demonstration, because we have to see where all the genealogy come from. But if we say Leah and Rachel is the wives of Jacob and they come from the offspring of this individual, are they the other man or are they the brother man? Because if you say brother man, then in this context, you can't use Laban as pertaining to some Albion or a troglodyte or European or a white person, with all due respect. With all due respect, when I talk about context. And no one can argue with that fact. So it's not the fact of the matter, then you have to stand corrected with wisdom. Laban was obviously the leader of his family when Eleazar, Abraham's chief of staff, came calling about a wife for Isaac and went home with Rebekah, Genesis 24. He was still in control when years later Isaac and Rebekah sent their son Jacob over to see about a wife for him, remember? Genesis 28 and 2. Jacob fell in love with Laban's. So when we say Jacob fell in love with Laban's, are we saying Jacob fell in love with the white man's youngest daughter, Rachel, and vowed to work for Laban, for the white man, for 7 years to pay her off? Is that what we saying? Genesis 29 and 18? Is that what we saying? When the 7 years had passed, Laban, we're going to replace Laban with white. So hell, we're going to say the white man threw Jacob a wedding feast that was so stimulating that Jacob didn't realize he had married and copulated with the white man's oldest daughter, Leah, until well after the wedding night. Genesis 29 and 25. Is that what we saying? See? You see how a lot of these people with that, when they try to play that color thing and the creator is not like that? No biblical text tell you color is contingent for righteousness. Nowhere. Nowhere biblically. Nowhere. That's false doctrine. That's separation history. His story. Jacob was understandably disgruntled, and Laban generously offered his youngest daughter, Rachel, as well, for the bargain price of an additional 7 years of labor. Genesis 29 and 27. So so just say we replace Laban with what people say when these other brothers that try to use color as righteousness in a context. So are we saying these individuals were the other man? Are we saying that? And Jacob wise was from the other man? Are we saying that? Yes or no? I'm just asking my brothers and sisters, when we have to remove these things of hate, and the relationship between Laban and Jacob remains strained. So just imagine if we remove Laban with how people use that to try to talk about somebody else and use it in the context in the biblical scriptures and use it in a derogatory statement to try to belittle somebody else. You see how messed up that is? To even want just we play devil's advocate to say you have the power, but you want the power to step on somebody's neck instead of the power to liberate. Like that's sad. Yeah. 7 years. That's what I'll be telling people. I said, dude, we can put a real magnifying glass on biblical context and ask questions about certain geographical areas and just have a real question. Because, man, listen, when you, how can I say it? When you're not biased and when you're a biblical scholar and when you have your hands on all biblical research, you can talk about things. Just like when I talk about the Canaanites and a certain individuals from their God said they can go to a certain area and take over the certain area and and take everybody out pertaining to their God and cross over and tell all of them to do and to convert to this. So who was those people? Did you take over some of the other man or was it the brother man? I always ask these people the same thing. And in the same context, if I said if these kids come from Laban and Jacob married Laban's daughters, are you saying Jacob's daughters is from the other man? Because if you say that, you're scholarly off. And the point you're making, trying to use it as a derogatory thing to the other man, you off. Absolutely. So how? So it can't be you. So if brother, when he said I think, because I always remember I get when people say they think and that's great, But when you say I think not white as in color, but he was copper colored as of the light from the Most High Laban, I agree in that context. Therefore, because I'm not in disagreement with that demonstration at all. What I'm saying is, when the religious brother used that word to try to describe the other man on a level of inferiority per se, or use that to belittle, you totally out of context. That biblically, biblically, biblically. Biblically, with all due respect, and there's no reason no one can argue with that. So when that word is being used in that context, when we use it as separation theory, you have to stand corrected. Why? Because it was just explained biblically. Now, we can get with what we think, which is beautiful, but I always go with what the text say. So if we basing what we're speaking on off the information from the biblical text, of course, our analogy from what we put together, we can explain that in that manifestation. Absolutely, absolutely. But when we're doing it in this, how can we say in this arena with the information that we have, and we have to explain it in that context. It's just like when we're using tools in biblical context, explaining things like hermeneutics and hermeneutics. So in this context, when we're given this information specifically on this specific topic, and the topic was using the word Laban or Laban to describe the other man in a disrespectful way per se. And then it was brought to me, someone that was like, Sheik, you see? And it was like, you see why I love you? Because you can explain this. And I said, I will. Because you can't explain that biblically. And that, like, it's hard. Because, and then I'm saying, regardless of everything, I asked the question, okay, was Jacob wise from the other man? I mean, these are simple breakdowns, because if you say no and you say these are these type of people, how can we justify that? Yeah, y'all can speak. You can speak to any, absolutely, Brother Harvey, as long as we coming in, bro, love, truth, and peace, gratitude. Yes, you can speak on, absolutely, Brother Harvey. You can definitely speak with love. Absolutely. 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 Absolutely, brother Harvey L. Especially if it's coming with love and truth. Everyone has the opportunity to speak here. I welcome that. And so that's how it was brought. And my brother and I said, well, look at it. I said, are we staying in context? And he was like, absolutely. And I said, who are we talking about? Are we talking about a certain family and things that? And it was presented to me. He was like, well, no, can you explain it biblically? Absolutely, we can explain it biblically. Why? Because we all can think and we all have our way to put things together and say, well, I believe this. And that's fine. And we can all agree or agree to disagree or all three. But biblically, what does the text say on this specific topic to what we pertaining to? Not personal feeling, not interjecting, well, I think this and I believe. Because like I said, we all can believe in different things on this platform, but from biblically, that's the only savior of the universe is the divine and discipline. What you mean, Noble? That's the only savior of the universe is love, divine, and discipline. Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree to that. I'm definitely not in I'm definitely in agreement with that statement, brother. Absolutely. But just say if we was in a philosophy of religion class, right? And I'm just using this for speaking points, so we can stay in context. Say if we was in a philosophy of religion class, and I say, okay, based on your religion, your God, you say, move that mountain. And you say, yeah, well, my Bible says I can do that. And I say, well, that mountain outside, go move that mountain. And a person will, I'm not saying no one on here, but if a person not able to stay in context, they can get upset, because we're not talking about that spiritual thing. Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree. I agree with that. I agree with that statement wholeheartedly, Brother L, with all respect and love. But once again, from that specific context, when I was having it with some of my other religious brothers, that's not under different religions, because I love to talk to brothers with all different backgrounds of spirituality, you know, and that question came up when an individual used that word to the other man in a derogatory way. When we say WHIT man, or forget that WHIT man, and the WHITE man knew me. You know what I mean? What I'm telling y'all. And look, he was like, he just don't know. Like if I use the word niggardly, and a person would be like, what do you mean? I said, well, man, you have to understand what niggardly mean, with all due respect. But so anyway, when this conversation was being had, it was being had from a biblical conversation. And this individual is a professor at GCU. He just looked young. We was at the, having coffee, and saw me, didn't say who he was. And, you know how people be, I don't know why people be doing what they do, but make a long story short. And a lot of times when other people know a lot, they just be happy to be around those individuals. And sometimes when people know the certain words that you use to try to put them in a way of like just disrespectful, I think that's messed up. And I always ask brothers, when we use these things, and if we say biblically, because you say, well, the Bible, and be screaming Bible, then you're going to have to show me Bible. That's all I'm saying. That's all I ask brothers. I said, because if we doing that, why? We have to. Because we don't want to misconstrue anything. There's no reason. Because there's other words that I can clearly give you, vocabulary and linguistics, that can explain those type of things. But biblically, when we have these questions biblically, when people use these biblical contexts, when a person don't research them and say all this, I say, how can you say that and then in the same breath promulgate that in the biblical scriptures, this is your lineage? You from this, you from Abraham, you from this, you from this, you from this, and bada boom, bing, and ping, 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 and all the commandments and all that, gung ho, with all due respect to everyone. I'm just saying. And then use this in the same breath, but in the same breath, when it's described, all this lineage, all this mixing, if it's mixing, If it's mixing, if it's mixing, then we talking about what? Mulattoes? We talking about what? This? I'm just asking. I'm just asking. But if not, with all due respect, let's break this whole thing down again just for biblical clarity, because we have to stay in biblical clarity. Because if that's the case, how can anybody use that represents something in a bad way? And then I think you're talking about yourself. How? Because if you say that specific word means the other man, is all this lineage and all these people wise and all this stuff, are they the other man? I mean, I'm just asking. Any man, my brothers or sisters. Now, listen what I just said again clearly. I said Laban, the man, was a Aramaean, living in Padram. He was the son of Bethuel. He was the son of Bethuel. Everything getting red. Aramean, Padram, Bethuel. He was the son of Bethuel, the son of Nahor, with Milcah, the brother and niece of Abraham. The brother and niece of Abraham. Genesis 24 and 29. Laban. Now let's replace Laban with what? What the ones tell you. That means Whiteman. Replace Laban. Hey, I don't mean to laugh, man. Because if you have any tittle of sense, when you read that, you'll be like, wait a minute. You'll be like, what you talking about, Willis? With all due respect. And when you read it for yourself, if you're trying to explain it in that context and say, well, no, this doesn't mean that. All I'm saying, well, let's go with the text. Because if the text is saying that, then what is it saying about you? That's all I'm asking. That's all I ask people. We can stand that. We always have, if we're going to deal with the Quran, we got to stay in the Quran. If we're going to deal with the text, we got to deal with the text. We got to deal with it. We got to explain it. We got to use it. If you want to look it up words you don't understand, I got the lexicon. But it ain't no need in here because I'm already doing the work for you. Genesis 24 and 29. So watch this. Laban was also the brother of Rebekah and the father of Leah and Rebekah. He was the father of Leah and Rebekah. Who was Leah and who was Rebekah? They was the wives of Jacob. So what I'm asking my brothers and sisters, were the wives of Jacob from the other man or the brother man? With all due respect. That's all I'm asking my brothers and sisters. Because if we say that, then you have to be stand corrected. You have to. Right or wrong. From love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Anybody can elaborate on this? If we stay in context. And then if we don't want to stay in context and we say, well, no, it means this, well, then you got to put the other man all through Genesis 24, all through Genesis 28 and 2, all through Genesis 29 and 18, 29 and 25, Genesis 29 and 27, and replace it with the other man. You know what, man? Genesis 31 and 36, Genesis 31 and 47. Then it's going to sound like, hey, you were in, how can I say, a certain bondage for a while to get some wives, per se. And if that's what it's saying, that's all I ask my brothers and sisters. When they come with that, the color is contingent on righteousness. I said, dude, au contraire, mon frère. On what context? Because what you saying, that's separation theory. With all due respect. With all due respect. Now who's telling what? Now, if we want to deal with these things, family, he was the son of Bethuel and grandson of Nahor, making him Abraham's great nephew. Wow, absolutely. I mean, I keep telling people, come on, Crippin' sense a bow wow? Absolutely. That's what I be trying to say. I be like, dude, I be saying like this, Crippin'. I be like, see how people be? When I say yes, everyone have a little cup of something. It's no disrespect from wisdom and understanding. Because we can go way past, like I said, we can deal with the Anglo-Saxon dictionary and deal with the word white, but it ain't spelled like that. We can deal with it in a specific context, per se, if we want to go there. But this, Lebanon, this, you totally off. And for anybody religious brother to use this separate to scriptures for separation theory is just wrong. That's all I'm saying, man. Like, I can care less how anybody feel about what I'm saying. Biblically, you're totally off. Now, who can be upset with what I'm just saying? I'm not saying nothing wrong. That was brought up as a question. How can anyone disagree with that? I mean, I always ask people. I say, what context? I say, are you staying in context? Because you must. Let me see if I got a little bit more. Oh, I gave everybody that. That's also King James Version. Yeah, if that's what they want, I can give it to them any version. What you want, an NIV version? You want it in a Hebrew text? How they want it? We give it in the layman term. It make no difference. How you want it in Sprech und die Deutsch in German? We're gonna get the same thing. That's what most people understand anyway. But they can have it anyway, that an individual would like to have it. Just give it to us English so we'll know what we're talking about, because I just got on. That's right. And see, I'm glad user just said that. I'm glad. And see, I'm glad when people be responding. That's right. So as we speak in English, and man, that's a beautiful statement that brother just said, because a prophet and an angel is only going to come in the voice of his own people. If I came in any other voice or any other language, you will need a linguistic. So you're not going to understand the words that are coming out of my mouth. And different languages is not contingent on you being righteous. Now, is learning different languages great? Absolutely. But no text, no holy book says that your connection to the Creator and understanding and wisdom and seeking knowledge is contingent on you speaking a plethora of different languages. You know, with all due respect. So that's all I'm asking, brothers and sisters. Watch this. Hold on. And when I ask questions scholastically, because I tell everybody, man, I'm transparent. I graduated from a Christian university. I got my dual master's degree in first century history and religion and linguistics from Grand Canyon University. I graduated with honors. You can look me up. With all due respect. Not like I'm a know-it-all, but what I'm saying is I was able to say what I'm saying in academia. And in my oral dissertation, I proved that the misnomer, BLACK man was the father of civilization, proved by the Bible alone, with no biasness and no prejudice. Real talk. Real talk. My whole graduation, I had it on YouTube. Oops, hold on. Oh, my bad. With all due respect. So that's all I be asking brothers when they come with these things, with this manufacturalness. And I say, brother, I get when people have a little knowledge and they use it for gain, but it's still a tittle of knowledge with all due respect. What do you mean, brother? Okay, I'll break it down very, very simple for you. If we want to go to a whole clear understanding about things, when people from any religion, of course, those religions going to use their religion as a standing point. But when we deal with analogy, parable, metaphors, that's going to reveal so much. When we reveal different languages and what you think means something because it felt good in that second, when the tools are being used, when the words are being explained, it's going to illuminate so much more. And it won't, and it's not even that hard. And that's all I'm saying when these things are being used for separation theory, when we are the only people that do it. How? When we say, okay, let me give you let's throw this out in the atmosphere for a second, okay? In the biblical scripture, we're not in the biblical scripture. A group of people say that pertaining to this, and they on a corner and they screaming this, and they telling you that they or everyone are the so-called this, what they say, that type of Israelite. And I say, well, that word Hebrew, and it's for real, it just means partner, see, an act, with all due respect. If we're going to deal with science and origin as we break things down, if we're going to do things scholastically and historically, before we can do these things, because we can just drop the whole, we can suck all the water out the pool on both levels if we want to, but we'll do that at another date, right? But do you see what I'm saying on a specific context? You got to see this with your eyes. So how can a group of people say these are the type of people? And I'm showing you all these people in the biblical scripture. I showed you this type of people. I showed you Amalekites, Amalekites. So if a group of people say, hey, we're going to go to these people that's Canaanites, they have a father, a lineage that don't change, right? Because they were the sons of a certain individual, right? So who were these individuals that came to their certain area, destroyed them, made them cross over, did what they say? Who were those people that came and did that to those individuals? I'm asking. Was those individuals, those type of individuals, what the people say that came and did that to those people? Was that what we call, how can I say, brother on brother? You know what? Are we saying that? I'm just asking. When you think about it, and you be like, wait, say that again. I think you heard me clearly. I'm just asking a question. I'm just asking a question for all my brothers when I say, boy, man, like we can go way deeper than where we going. What brother said, brother on brother. Crippin' since a bow wow. See, that's why real men say real things. Be like, yep, it done got us messed up. Exactly, Crippin'. You absolutely. Because if you don't say that, then somebody tripping. Because where? It wasn't on no other continent. It wasn't there. These brothers ain't go to no Europe or no Armenia or nothing like that. Did they? They went to where? It sounded to me like the Canaan land. Somebody better tell me something. I'm asking my brothers and sisters for educational purposes only. Thank you, Brother Bay, for educational purposes only. Because we can do all the work and say, okay, and keep throwing it back and keep throwing it back and ask the question. I know, Brother Bay. I told you what's going to happen. I told people, I said, man, I'm still in the schoolmaster. I can take it all away and show you how they use certain stars when I say we are perfect pentas, and they just took it in and made it, gang to mess us up. And when you look at it in the other brotherhood, it's what? It's stature. And that's why we don't have nothing. Why? Because we don't have no oath of how we rock with each other. They done made it something else. I keep telling y'all, man, we got to get back to this. I'm telling my brothers and sisters what it's about. This is what it is. This stuff separated us. How? How can it not be? Okay, well, tell me who was those individuals from their God, because no God can be jealous of himself, per se. I would hope not. Why would it be? Why would I be jealous of myself? Why would I look in the mirror and say, ooh, I'm jealous of me? I mean, so if that's the case, whatever you want to say, who was those group of so-called people that the people say they are, that we are, that went to a certain people land, right? Did with the atrocities, whatever, right? From what I was saying. and made them cross over, whatever, right? So what I'm asking my brothers and sisters, if we already know those were Canaanites per se, that happened to, who was those group of individuals that took them out? I'm asking for educational purposes only, because I want to know. I'm asking. I'm asking. Inquiring minds want to know. Explain it to me. Can anybody explain that to your brother? I just wanted to have this conversation because it was brought to me. And the individual was like, man, would you please speak on it? I said, well, of course. But people are going to have to be transparent and be like, man, I have no idea. Or be like, man, I never looked at it like that. And then we can start building on things that we know. Because this right here ain't it. Can't be mad at me what I'm saying. How can you be? If we using the tool that we say people use to justify what they saying, well, get the text, right? That's what I always say. They say get the text. I gave you all text. So my brother said, golly, sheep. No, I always ask that. So can anybody explain that one to me? Because we already explained the Laban aspect. Now what? Can anybody give their humble opinion? Was that brother on brother like Crippen since Bow Wow said, or was that the other man took over these people and somebody done took their identity, and that's why they say they got more in common with the other man than the brother in the continent of Africa and all this stuff? You tell me. Come on now, come on somebody. I mean, come on, because Crippen since a Bow Wow ain't crazy. We just using the variables that we have. We can't be like, oh, and put our feelings in these things. We have to use the information. No, just like if we was in the court of law, we have to deal with the information. We can't be biased. I don't care if you know Islam Muslim. I don't care if you know Christian. I don't care if you know atheist or whatever. What we're doing, if we're in this parameter, none of that stuff can judge our judgment on the facts. So when we deal with the facts, you got to be like, well, based on the facts, man, there's some don't sound right. And based on the facts, you're going to have to turn and look at the other person that say we all this and went and did this to these people and made them cross over and say Hebrew is something, but that's just an act. Then who were those individuals that went and did the atrocities to the Canaanites in their land and made them do all this? Who were those people? Was it brother on brother? Because if it's brother on brother, then pertaining to your creator and things, what? From brother on brother, that thing is biblical. Huh? Somebody better talk to me. I'm just asking. Or am I tripping? Because if I ain't tripping, somebody tell me different. If I'm tripping, somebody tell me different. Because see, I already had these biblical discussions in academia. I throw it back to my brothers and sisters when I say, man, y'all, a lot of our brothers not even on a higher level, not even understanding this Buddha aspect where we should get to. But on this religious level, we have no idea, especially when we choose to stay in that paradigm. You know? This is what I'm telling my brothers and sisters. I'm like, somebody tell me. Like, what is it? Think about it. Who was these group of people that went and did these things to the Canaanite in the biblical scriptures? Saying they God said, you go and do all this and all this and all this to these group of people. And then the group of people that done that, those group of people say, we're all this. Okay, well, if that's the case, who were the people that you took out? I'm asking. I'm asking. Who were those people? Who were those people? Somebody answer. I got two questions. Who was those people pertaining to their God? Told them to go do what they did to those other people in that area that had their own land, that had their father had their own land in a certain area. Were they not? Were they not a righteous people? Yes or no? I'm just asking. I'm just asking for my brothers and sisters in this specific context, because that context was brought up and that Laban context was brought up. And no one can, you can't stay on that Laban context and say it mean that, as I just broke it down in all subject matter in context. And then here it is, another question I present. And based off text, you have to come with reason based off what? The information that you have. So anybody with any sense, anybody with any tittle of understanding with the information that you have, if you studied the text, you will come up with what? The proper answer. How? With the information that you have. Somebody gonna come up with the right answer, because it's only one. It's only one. These individuals, where did they go? How far did they travel? Did they travel to Europe? No. Did they travel to a certain area? You see how it is? When a person always used this color thing the same way they did with the word Laban, then if that's the case, if you saying that in the context of nationality or anything, you totally off. How? Because all that lineage, all him, his family, and then Jacob married both of his wives, was the daughters of Laban. If that's the case, then what? And that's not the case. So once again, brothers, the second question I'm saying, who were these individuals that went over to this area where these individuals were already living for X amount of years? And I'm just saying it like that. With their family, with their culture, with their God, whatever you want to call it. And then pertaining to somebody else, oh, we're gonna go take over this and boom, 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 and do all this and do all this, and then whatever this left or whatever, we're gonna, whatever, and make them rock and roll with what we rock and rolling with, and change this everything and say we did this because this is the act we did. What? Crossed over per se. And that's an act. And so we call this that Israelite per se because of this specific act. But I can go even deeper, but that's for way study, because we've done this a plethora of times, and it's no disrespect, it's love. We got to replace the other stuff with love, man. And that's all I'll be telling brothers. I'll be like, come on, man. You can't explain it no other way. It can't be explained no other way. It can't be. Just like the word baraka Islamically. When I say people that's lost in linguistics, when we start synchronizing things, when we showing things, when we give you things to compare to, when you operate on a whole nother level of wisdom and understanding. Why? Because it's there. And I can break down, I don't have enough fingers and toes to break down different families and genealogies and different, in that context, if we want to say it in the biblical scriptures, if we really want to go there on levels. But the point, what I was saying in the context of Laban, when people use it to try to disrespect someone, color is not contingent on righteousness. Nowhere in the biblical scripture you can find that. If you find that like that, you think that, you're totally off. You can't say righteousness is only contingent for someone based off their ethnicity. If you say that, then you're totally off. Because scripture don't agree with that. So if you want to, if that's what people are using that and try to say Laban in a way that's a derogatory, I think you sound crazy. Because when you break down who Laban is and what it is and the ethnicity and all the people in the lineage and the genealogy of Yahshua and all that stuff, you're gonna look crazy. It's gonna be the joke's on you, biblically. Now, how can you explain that? With all due respect, with all due respect, man, it all can be cleared up on both sides. How? Very easily, very scholastically. That's why I said you can't come with no side of anyone. Why? Because truth has no sides. It can be explained. How? For someone that's the explainer. Just like my Islamic brothers, I love them. I don't care what is, especially my nation of brothers. They believe in the Bible, but they say it was tampered with and it must be interpreted by the elite. Now, some things I don't rock and roll with. Why? Because based on their tenets, it's just why. It can be explained very easily, but that's a whole nother teaching. But the fact of the matter is what I'm saying here, we have to explain this. We have to remove the veil. Because okay, if we say we Canaanite, then we say all this and we talk this, that, and the other, and these people this, and the sons of this, and the wives of this, who were these individuals that came and what? I'm asking my brothers and sisters, please. That's all I ask anybody, and then you have to say one thing. I said, come on, somebody tell me. So is that why you say, if you saying it like that, is that why you're saying you don't have nothing similar to the African? Disrespect. Because I know different phenotypes and things like that. I get that. But I'm talking about when you explain these things in certain ways and say it like that and be loud, and the person just asks you scriptures and then give it to a person on a platter, it's no denying what the text say. All the question was, who was those individuals? Because we know that with the Canaanites that the thing that the atrocities happened to. So who are these other people to pertaining to God or to their God, however you want to say it, that came and did those things? And what area did they do it on? Did they go to Europe and do these things? Or was this in an area where melanated people are? And was it a brother on brother thing? That's all I ask. And then people start turning snot out the nose. What do you mean? You clearly, it's a question. That's all I'm asking. That's all I'm asking, brothers and sisters. So every time we clear these subjects up, I say, dude, don't get caught in semantics. If y'all want history of things, when you see who these individuals were, the Arameans, the studies in history and archaeology in honor of Paul Eugene Dion, and when you start looking at these figures, matter of fact, I'm gonna illuminate a couple things before. Oh, I got a little time. I'm out of here. You would think that's the Anunnaki, right? But that's really the Iberian, and it's figured like all animal figures are nothing but pious hieroglyphs. When I show you a lot of my Egyptian books, adapt books, you're gonna see a lot of the Egyptian hieroglyphs. But you're gonna see things like this, and when people say the Anunnaki and all this, it's really the Iberians. It's really like also connected to Moors, also connected to one nationality and culture, because words have synonyms. You know, so I'll show this, and we'll continue to connect to history, because it's not hard. You know, it's just what it is. People have to be willing to say, okay, you know, ain't no disrespect. You see, same symbology, ain't it? Same symbology that so-called people will tell you is some alien, some Anunnaki. With all due respect, you will hear that from Zachariah Stencher. With all due respect, but we illuminate those things because we got to keep it positive on here. But I start showing you things when I say like, no, these are not no aliens. You'll be like, man, these look like the hieroglyphics and things and all that, because things are similar if it's culturally similar. You know, it's a lot of different pieces of wisdom that go with this culture. but I don't want to stay too far in that one. But let me show y'all one more because I was talking about the other day the Washita and how people don't. I don't want people to get caught up. You don't want to have. I don't want people to get caught
Peace
up.
to the global family. Today.
I don't want people to get caught up in semantics. Excuse me. And so when we talk about the word more, M-U-U-R, and we talk about Empress, Verdes, you know, from the Washita, the Hundihai Moors, the Empire, and you can read that history, the return of the ancient ones, and you can start just removing the veil and the arguments, especially if you're gonna have biblical discussions. Man, like I tell people, it's way, 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 way more biblical history than you know. I promise you. And if I show you things that a lot of people have, you and that you would think they didn't have, you always got to point the finger back at your own because no one has the power to keep you down. I promise you this. And so when I talk about this science and these symbols, it's nothing afraid of. It's nothing spooky. A lot of things is written Kabbalistically. And so when I speak about things written Kabbalistically, it's written in a certain fashion to keep the uninitiate away from things. I promise you. Especially when I talk about esoteric or Gnostic, not debunking anything, but always showing the inner meaning and the inner layers of certain words. Like a lot of people look over the word Maserat in the biblical scripture and don't understand what that word means and don't break it down and some want to keep you from looking in that aspect. Like also in the biblical scripture, a lot of things are Greek. And the word fulfill in a certain biblical text is a Greek word meaning or called poliro, meaning to magnify and bring back to your remembrance. So all these little small technicalities must be, how can I say, all these T's must be crossed, all the I's must be dotted. Why? To do this work, to see what you can see in these texts with the tools that you're supposed to use. It's also a plethora of biblical texts that go with the biblical text, that the biblical text that we call in academia prerequisites. What am I saying? The biblical scripture speaks a plethora of books, almost 100, but specifically, I say 23 is called out. That's very easily to have, which I have. One of the books is called the book of Yasher. And in the biblical text, it says, didn't you read this in the book of Yasher? You know, and that's in academia, we call a prerequisite. It's asking you, didn't you read this in the book of Yasher? So, also in the biblical scriptures, how can it talk about a certain individual, Enoch, and a certain individual ascended to heaven without leaving the flesh? And nowhere in the biblical scripture, you hear no book of Enoch. You say Enoch important. But when you study the book of Enoch and other lineage, it's going to start connecting the dots of a lot of things. It's going to start connecting certain things. Why? Because it does. Those are tools in the toolbox, with all due respect. And then when we deal with our Morj Quran, we talk about the certain 18 missing years of Jesus, or for what? Yahshua's life, when he went through the so-called adapt chambers. And you can find the same thing in the biblical scriptures when he went to the Brahmins and the Vitas and all this stuff and etc. So no, none of these things is something original when you hear gathered, compiled, and divinely prepared. Because you can find these things in the Vedas. You can find these things in the Brahmin text. You can find these things in the Unto Thee I Grant. You can find these things in the Akashic records, the Moorish Akashic records. A lot of times written under divine wisdom, under another writing, but it's still the Unto Thee I Grant. I guarantee you, word for word, especially the Brahmin text and the Vedas. So what I'm saying, there's no way no one can deny this connectivity. That's what I'm trying to say to my brothers and sisters. Even when I showed y'all the history and the etymology of Buddha and where all that's coming from, when I say a higher level of wisdom, but exactly just showing these things and connecting these things, brothers and sisters, and able to have an honest conversation and give literature and be able to ask things and not being mad and upset like with somebody trying to convert someone to something, because that ain't my mission to convert no one to nothing. You have a right of a nationality and a right to change it. It's one nationality and many cultures. So whatever any banner that you operating with, I will hope you have a clear understanding. Why do I say that? I say it just like I have a professor that's from the so-called Middle East. He wear his shemag with his halil all over it, like I wear mine sometimes. And he comes from the Islamic perspective, but he's a scholar and he just tell the truth. He have a YouTube page. His name will come to me. He written me and everything. He was like, brother, you amazing, this, that, and the other. And he was like, man, a lot of things I wanted to ask you about, do you have access to? You already spoke on it. It's a lot of books that clear things up, especially with this religion aspect. I say, man, if you saying is law, if you saying it's Quranic, then we gonna deal with the book. And a lot of things people be saying it's not there. Historically off, the words off, just like people be saying this figure in this religion is off, same thing in the other one. Scholastically, if you want to deal with the origin, I can do it all like this with paper, with like a dried up leaf, with all due respect, from love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and no one can be upset. No one. Why? Because I already said I don't have a problem with no one belief system. Because you can believe in anything that you want. That's your right. But when you say this is law and you say this is better than the other, then it can be easily what? Illuminated. That's all I'm saying. Anything that a person was saying is this and that, I can illuminate and show you where it came from. You'll be like, man, how you know that comes from the world almanacs? All that in a certain red book of a certain religious people. And you'll be like, man, word for word. I said, I told you. And I say this came from the watchers. What watchers? The Jehovah's Witness. You'd be like, well, how you know that? I got all the wisdom with all due respect. Why? Because I've been introduced to the wisdom. And in certain areas, man, I've done the research. Certain individuals around in the same area during a certain time. And when you listen to the philosophy and the same thing, you can be like, man, this is similar almost to the same as what this person was promulgating. But this was just a little bit before his time, but the individual was there. That's how I know. Because if we can say that about the other man, we got to say the same thing about the brother man. Just like if I can say the Mormon book is, you can find a book called The View of the Hebrews, and most of the Book of the Mormons kind of, plagiarized from The View of the Hebrews. With all due respect, I'm not disrespecting but I'm showing you a lot of things is written in a certain way where you won't have a phantom of what's going on. That's what I'm saying. Anybody got any questions, man? Want to add to what I was saying about those things from love? I promise you, nobody would have a problem with what I'm saying if we was in a real discussion with a moderator and we speaking on specific topics, and be like, nope, 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 nope. I'll be like, nope. Because people always come with these things with a small part of research because based on how they feel and what's popular and all that stuff be drawn up like Fuji does. With all due respect, it's been showed. I mean, now what else? What else can I do? I'll be waiting for people to ask questions. Based on the topics. So if you down with any, because I'm what my homie say, Crippin, sense of Bow Wow, my noble Crippin sense of Bow Wow, growth and development. He like, you right on that. Islam, Crippin. That's all. So once again, you see how people from a small understanding will use something so small as color to say it's contingent on this. And if you use that word, Laban, in the context to say that's what it means, how can it mean that? If that's the meaning, then Jacob two wives is what? And all that lineage I just broke down is what? Huh? Come on, somebody talk to me. Did that mean so that mean all over my what, y'all? So watch this, y'all. Let's play devil's advocate. So say if you say that one of me, WHITE, so that means all those brothers and sisters is WHITE then, right? And the people that went and did that to the Canaanites and all that, we're going to say that, and went to Canaan land and destroyed them and took them over and made them cross over and all that, they were WHITE. Is that what you're telling me? Come on, y'all. I'm just asking for the sake of conversation before we leave. Crippen said nope. Crippen said nope. Crippen said nope. Brother Bay said they was the same. Brother Bay said they was the same. Brother Bay said they was the same. See, now we gonna start dealing with some things. Brother Bay said they was the same. Crippen said that too. Crippen said that too, y'all. I got my laptop up too. I told you. So, it's from the darkness came the light. I told you. I told y'all, man. So when we talk, that's why I always talk about religion and education or history, excuse me, and spiritual and biblical literature go hand in hand. Why? Because the discussion must be had. That's why. That's all I'm saying. As we close, the discussion must be had. And if the discussion is not had, you have nothing to compare it to. Because we can continue to go down this road and to make you ask questions. Because I know what people use. And man, when people talk about things and I say, oh, are you coming from that perspective? That's all folly. You coming from a perspective, just like when a person comes from like the Flavia Josephus and the Pisos family and not understanding what that's all about and use that as real reference. And scholars, it's certain things that's like when I talk about pseudopigrapha and pseudographia and certain things biblically that, based off having the information will clear a lot of things up, and certain things were moved away for certain ones, and the esoteric explanation of things wasn't taught to ones for a certain reason. With all due respect. With all due respect. And so that's what I show people. I said, no, man, you have to understand context. Now, are we saying it wasn't different individuals in biblical scriptures? It had to be different individual people in the biblical scriptures. If we're using it if on this context, because certain people went and married and got wives, I'm sure. So now what we said, were they wise a different hue? Because we know historically a certain group of people loved a certain type of woman and got them in their harem. And I told you how go down the line, if you're dealing with that, the sun and that inner, becomes lighter and lighter. And then when you get to overtaking and other those things, the son does the bidding of the mother. And I can show you on and on and on in history, but that's a whole nother Masonic conversation, But staying in context, I say, man, listen, come on, brothers. We can't let this separate. We can't let none of this stuff separate us. No flag. It's only one science. It's only one truth. And so I always ask my brothers, are we going to continue to let this religious thing continue to separate us? And I illuminated both levels. I said, how can this be? How can this be? Why? Listen to this. The Bible and the Quran both speak of what? Abraham. Now, please don't say Abraham. What the Quran say, Abraham and Abraham, same. Tomato, tomato. Tomato, tomato, man. With all due respect. And when I talk about the seven serpents and the sephirats and the seven seals And when I talk about the 5 point star and the 6 point star, and I bring this back to our brothers and sisters, and I stand us up like a perfect like a perfect pentagram with all our extremities, the arm, the leg, the arm, the head, standing up with all our extremities. That's what a God man do. The 5 point star and the 6 point star belong to who? The nobles. I'm telling you that the stand up righteous, the real growth and development, what we're supposed to be operating on, a brotherhood. I'm telling you, that's what the prophet did when he brought everybody up together, when he created the temple, when he had all those Masonic brothers, all those one nationality and many cultures, all those different brothers with different headdresses. I told y'all could have got the document from me and could have read all this stuff from yourself already and could have been familiar with what I'm talking about. I've been offering it to people. I've been telling everybody, send me your email. I'll be giving y'all stuff for free. Everything ain't about no dollar with me. I've been telling people, get with me so you can have some things. So then I can court you and we can do business. Because I got a lot of information. I got a full library. And I lecture in academia in real life. I'm telling y'all, it's a lot of things that's already there. A lot of things I talk about is old. And you can see what I'm saying. You can build your library. For what? With what? Small donations. Everything I talk about, I have reference and scholarship. Every book I speak on, I have it. You can apply these methods, especially when I talk about the brain and auto-suggestion and that super consciousness and that God consciousness, all these things that pertaining to this. Because in the biblical scripture, it's all about what? Knowing thyself and understanding wisdom. You know? That's what this is all about. The higher self is coming to a level of peace and understanding. It's not arguing with brothers and sisters, because I done been through too much. I done been through too much fire. Tell people I done lost my baby brother, killed Jelani Goodman Bay. I done been through so much stuff. Saw so many of my family members murdered in the city of Flint. Like, come on, man. That's what I be telling brothers. Why? I ain't your enemy. We should be right. We should be raising our brothers and sisters up, because when we talk about religious understanding or religious misunderstanding, if we're using religion to say this is better than that, then that's a problem. Because all religion's supposed to be what? To give what? The creator, whatever you dealing with, what? Glory. At least treat people right in that perspective. You know, not to say their righteousness is contingent on color, because how can that be? How can righteousness be contingent on if they're a brother man or not? How can that be? How can that be? Like, for me, as a God man, you know, I can't explain that to nobody else, because nobody has the ability to say, I want to be this or that. I didn't have the right in osmosisly to say I want to be a brother man, per se, and I'm just using this in this context of that. When I talk about being the tittleness of our understanding, this what I be telling people, and I be talking about a real thing to show people when to break open the seal. Like, brothers be mad, I be like, well, why? Bro, I'm telling you, it's something, the seal has been broken. Everybody know it. All my brothers I deal with from all different areas be like, man, I'm like, man, come on, man. Like, it's no separation. Even when I deal with my other brother, my roster, they were like, man, you just understand. I'm like, yeah. When I talk about the shashat, when I talk about all these other things, when I talk about the pentagram, when I talk about all these things of understanding, I said it's no different when I talk about the sephiroths. You know, as a God man, you know, like, come on, man. Like, especially us Moors, when I say, what are we debating? I always ask my brothers and sisters about different levels of wisdom. And when I clearly speak to any individual, when I come from a clear understanding, when I say, I don't gravitate to nothing outside of myself, I understand. Anything outside of myself is true shirk. The closest place to find God, Allah, Buddha, etc., Yahweh is in my heart. You know? Now, if you believe any other type of way, that's on you. You know? But I don't believe anything outside of myself. Anything outside of myself is true shirt. Do I have a clear understanding of the three religious rites? The Fatimid, the Jerusalem, the Paraclete? Yes, the Christian, absolutely, I do. But from my understanding, coming to myself with the Creator, I'm not obligated to those things. If anything, when I tell people I understand what the Quran says, I understand law, the Al Salat, but I don't rock with tradition with all due respect because I'm not Orthodox. Do I have a problem with anyone Orthodox? Absolutely not. Do I understand Orthodox perspective of things? Absolutely. I understand I have to. Why? If I came from certain degrees of things, so a person from degrees have to understand it and be able to eloquently explain those levels of degrees and say, yes, I understand that, but, and not disrespecting that because I understand the generalities of certain things, but misunderstanding has to be cleared up from understanding. That's what I'm saying, or understanding, whatever you want to connotate. So let me say it, and let me say it in this way. When I talk about Sufi hadith, and when I talk about al salat, and when I talk about tradition and law, tradition and law are two different things. Let me give you an analogy. Analogy is like cutting a turkey in half per se, what our big mamas used to do back in the day. It was a reason to do that. The ovens wasn't big enough, pans, all that. But today, if any woman do that today, it will be based off tradition. Why? Because you know and I know we have bigger ovens and pans. So any woman will be doing that. It wouldn't be based off law. It will be based off tradition. So no one can say based off their tradition is law. Why? Because people have converted to what? Doing things in a different manifestation. And I'm just using that as an analogy, which it makes exact sense in its context. You see, you see what I'm saying, brothers and sisters? And things can be explained on all levels with no matter what cloth, with no matter what color you are. Because I can show y'all this. I can show people the 5-point star and the so-called 6-point star. I can show y'all how both of them belong to the nobleman. Both of them belong to the G7. With all due respect, both of them belong to the primordial man. The signs and symbols of the primordial man. With all due respect, I guarantee you. I guarantee you, with love, with truth, with peace, with freedom and justice, I guarantee you, I stand on the 7 with it. I'm telling you, with all due respect, why? Because it's love, and it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a what? A understanding. Any symbology you see, the 7 with in a so-called circle with the indentions. Even anytime you see the compass with the G in the middle, and in elementary, that was on what your pencil. What? To do a circle, and the other was a ruler. Because the circle and the square both have 360 degrees. This is what I'm saying of understanding, circumscribing the world, circumscribing yourself, understanding. And this is what I tell people. This is like, no, that's not the story in the biblical scriptures that brothers and sisters should be promulgating. That's the wrong thing. Why? Because the whole explanation is off. How? We just gave it. So anybody that'll come with that understanding will have to come with that. You have to explain it. You have to explain both questions that was presented to the individual that promulgated those two things that we talked about. Because I presented two things. I answered it where I really didn't answer it, but we answered it ourselves. How? Because there's really no other answer to give unless a person is going to start doing what they usually do, misquoting. And we already cleared that up. You see? With all due respect. With all due respect. And it's no disrespect to no one. To no one degree Islamically, from a Christian perspective, is no disrespect, but both of them can be explained. Especially we can sit down and do the origin of both, and I guarantee you, with love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, both individuals, no matter which cloth, you would be in agreement. Why? Because I would be bringing things to your remembrance, showing you in that context what is really saying, and a lot of things that we think is not it, based on origin and based on scholarship, and this is a fact. And that's when I be asking people, "Are you sure? Where would you take that? Where would you get that? Do you understand? Do you understand what they're saying?" And most individuals don't. Why? Because what they're professing and what they're putting out. I just showed you how simple that can be cleared up. How a person used Laban and try to say that was the other man, and I just cleared it up and I said, how can that be? How can that be if this individual, Laban, this person, parents was this, and his daughters was this, and Jacob married his two daughters. So if Laban, if you use it in the context of the other man, of a WHITE person, what are you saying about them and all that lineage in that family, and about Jacob's two wives? What are you telling me? I mean, you have to come to me if that's the question. If you say, well, wait a minute, then you're gonna have to explain that, because you can't run with that and use that out of context. Because if you're doing that, then what? That's where confusion starts, and that's what I call programming. That's what I call engineering. What we call human engineering. What? False information. You see? You can't explain it. You see? Can't explain it. And that's what I'll be telling my brothers and sisters. I hope we be careful what we doing and what we promulgating out here in this atmosphere with this science and with what we think we know. Because clearly, from what we're demonstrating here and the questions that's being asked, I haven't seen anyone on here say something different than what I'm saying, or agree, or have a whole interjection of what we saying here based off what we're speaking on and staying in the context. You can't. Because what would it be? I always ask my brothers and sisters, what would it be? They'd be like, well, can I talk to you behind closed doors? Because that happened a plethora of times. I say, no, I want to talk behind closed doors. That's why I tell people, man, it'll take me hours. I have so much information. I'll be like, because I know most people ain't read nothing. I know most people just look at the cover of things. I know this. How? When I be seeing people post on social media, I'll be like, oh, they ain't read that, what they had. They just like the cover of the book. Because when you get into it, what they promulgate is going totally against of what they talking about. How I know? Because I know. I know that for a fact. Just like when I talk about the demonology of King James, and people be misquoting the whole thing because they hear demonology of King James. And I'll be like, okay, well, what King James in it? Well, it's only what it is, what it be. And I'll be like, oh, see? I'll be like, okay. So if I show you things historically, what's in the museums, then what's King James you talking about? And what is that all? And what does that specifically talk about? Have no really idea. Have no really idea, to be honest, with all my brothers and sisters. I guarantee you that, scholastically, you'll get caught up in what? The wrong thing, the wrong demonstration. You'll get caught up on the wrong demonstration. And anybody understand, just like when I talk about, and with all due respect, in the Masonic crafts, when I talk about, watch this, the perfect penta. When I say the penta, this one and coming together, the perfect penta. When you have arm, leg, arm, head, not turn a little bit with the two horns up per se, that's going in another direction. But I'm talking about a perfect pentagram per se, when you see certain things in a certain symbology. And a lot of these things is just what it is, man. You know? A lot of these things is just what it is. I gotta cut this one off. That one about to die. Gotta cut that off. We've been going for a minute. I gotta get out of here. But I had time today, man. I had a long day. I got another early day tomorrow. But I had so much to talk about, man, because it was brought to me. And look at this. We've been on here for I don't know how many hours. Like a damn marathon. But like I said, man, it's easy. Y'all get with me. I got anything y'all need, family. Any books, any literature. I got turbans. I got fezzes. I got she-mags. I got tunics. I'm back in my home state right now. But brothers and sisters, I'm just getting started. Please subscribe to our Temple and School YouTube channel. And like I said, anything you need, contact me, man. Support your brother, as we continue to build our brick and mortar. But any questions, anything that y'all want to have a discussion on, to bring to the forefront, we can do that because that's what we should be doing as brothers and sisters. And no one is trying to change any one culture. I know I'm sure not. It's one nationality, many cultures. I understand all cultures, and I definitely understand, especially in my 12 African cultures. I deal with the Santeria, the Orisha, the Aligua. I've done with the Crossroads. I've done all those things. I've done with the Moradines. I'm also a part of the Philosophical Research Society. I have no problem with letting brothers and showing things and helping brothers get to a level where they need to be, where they don't have to make certain mistakes, and that's academically as well. Especially if you're going to academia for certain degrees, or you're a child, or you just need a reference or someone to talk to because things is, sometimes rough for people and us, but in that manifestation, man, like I say, it is what it is. But you say, as I leave, brother Crippen said what I break down Esau, brother Crippen. I done been here for so long, but we'll do that at another time. But I'll tell you this: when people think Esau what it is, it ain't. You know what I mean? I promise you. I promise you. Like, how can I say this? How can I say it? Let me see. I'm trying to say it. I'm trying to say it. I try to say it in a way, brother Crippen, because it's gonna have you cracking up. It's not gonna have you cracking up, but that's why I love when people ask these questions. Hey, Crippen, me and you would be over here cracking up, but watch this, Crippen. Okay, so everybody say Esau, right? So are you pertaining as we close? Are you pertaining? Are you pertaining for educational purposes only? I repeat, for educate what my homeboy said, man, somebody should be giving you some donations. He'll like, Sheik, you over there working hard. I got my pen. What do you say? My daughter over here go to school. She like, wow, you crazy. I got my other platform up, but all respect. But if anybody do want to donate, my handle on there, but with all due respect. But watch this. Okay, so I'm just gonna throw it back like I'm asking you a question. And all you gotta do is shake your head and say yeah as I'm going. Because I don't know. I'm asking a question too. So hold on, man. I done drunk so much water. Let me get my. I've been working hard, y'all. I've been working hard. What my homie said, he said, give Sheik some donations. I'm sorry. I read my other thing on my homie. I appreciate that too, man. He like, man, I'm working hard for you. She said, what platform I'm on? I'm on TikTok as well and YouTube, bro. That's why he finna get over there. He crazy. But okay. So are you talking about Esau, also known as Edom? Because I can get in the Jewish encyclopedia and blow your mind. I lecture this at school. I lecture this. I lectured a whole bunch. I lecture this, man, from the Jewish encyclopedia. I showed things from the 13th tribe. I just showed so much. But so if you are talking about that, also known as Edom, was the older twin. Watch this, because here you go. Here you go. You opened the Pandora box, Crippen. Was the older twin brother of Jacob. Remember what you see? Remember you see the one Crippen, the one playing. See, I ain't playing because Crippen like, okay, now you want to get there. Somebody was gonna go there. I knew Crippen was. I knew it. I knew where he was. I knew where he was going. I tried to get out of here before he went there. I tried to get. I tried to get out of here, but Crippen the one that opened the door. He like, ooh, I told you. I told you the rabbit hole get deep. You did it. And even though you did it, I tried to say, oh, let me get out of here. Because I knew where you was going with what you're going. I'm looking all on your vibration. Didn't I tell you if you were sitting right here, we'd be having so many discussions? Because this take you to this. If you have a question, I always tell people there's no such thing as a dumb question. Think about it for educational purposes only. You see what I'm saying? And I'm saying if this is that and that is this, and then you say Edom was the older twin brother of Jacob. So if you're saying this was wrong, he's the twin brother, well, that means he is twin brother. That means he what? An albino? Or what? Or was Jacob what? So because if he was the twin brother of Jacob and Jacob was this, then what? And now if his twin brother, and then you saying he's what? What was he? Was he an albino per se? Somebody talk to me. I'm just asking. What Crippen say? Hold on. Crippen said, what Crippen say? He said, yes. Is that what you're saying, Crippen? Brother Bay said, uh-oh. Brother Bay said, uh-oh. Yeah. See? Y'all the one did it. Watch this. Watch this. He was the twin brother of Jacob, progenitor of the Edomites. Progenitor of the Edomites. So research what progenitor mean. Brother Crippen said he was an albino twin. Come on, man. Hey, watch this. Just like when they talk about other things and they show like this is this, and this is this. How can it be this, and this, and they both got the same mama and dad? Like, man, who you playing with? I told y'all, man. Y'all opened it, not me. I'm just here as a map and a guide. Because with a map and a guide, gonna get you where you need to be. A map and a guide ain't begging. A workman is due his hire. My homie said, and you working, you do your hire, man. Real talk. Come on TikTok, fam. But yeah. So the progenitor of the Edomites and grandson of who? Abraham. And grandson of Abraham, appearing in Genesis as a skilled hunter who traded his birthright for stew. Historically, he represents the ancestor of the nation of Edom, located southeast of Judah, which was a frequent enemy of Israel. So what we saying? Come on, Brother Bay. That's why I be laughing. I be like, dude, I said, my professor told me when I was getting my dual master degree, he said, you can let a person talk, you can talk for 15 minutes, you can rest your case, it will be no rebuttal. Anybody there with the proof, they'll be like, man, why did y'all come in here messing with Sheikh Khari Goodman Bay? With all due respect, I've been telling people the work has been done. There's no disrespect. The work has been done. If I was able to lecture against the other man and speak like this with confidence, surely with a silver tongue, what makes you think I'm going to speak any different? I'm not arrogant. I done been through the fire. This all I'm telling my people. I done been through the fire on these levels. It's only a matter of time before it take off. So progenitor of Edom, Esau, is identified as the father of the Edomites, right? Whose territory was southwest of Judah, right? The name Edom, aka red, stems from the red hair and the red pottage he brought from Jacob. Huh? So if you say the enemy nation, the Edomites were historically viewed as close relatives, but fierce rivals of the Israelites. Close relatives. Remember in the biblical scripture, y'all remember who Obadiah is? And see what he said, that they supported certain things? Now, in a Jewish concept, the tradition, Esau is sometimes symbolically linked to Rome, representing a formidable and sometimes cruel force affecting so-called Jewish history. Remember, I always talk about context. Y'all remember that, right? 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 I mean, I hope everybody understand. With all due respect. Right? The name Edom, red, stems from his red hair and the red pottage he bought from Jacob. It said his red hair. Yeah, hair. Red hair. I know a lot of brothers with red hair. And the red pottage he bought from Jacob. Now, so-called sibling conflict and the legacy of it per se, he's depicted as favoring immediate gratification. Remember, selling his birthright. Remember that? You know the story, for a meal and losing his father's Isaac blessing to his younger brother Jacob. You know all that. That's what the story say. And the Edomites were historically viewed as close relatives but fierce rivals of the Israelites. Right? I'm just asking. And from Jewish tradition, Esau is sometimes symbolically linked to Rome. Esau is portrayed in the Bible as a man of the field and the favorite of his father Isaac, while his brother was favored by his mother Rebekah. Now remember we broke down who Rebekah is and all this, Laban and all this and all this. So what we talking about? I told y'all, Crippen the one opened the door, not me. I told y'all, when people talking, I said, dude, you're going to open up a whole can because it's gonna go doom, doom, doom. And we could go up level. With all due respect. Watch this. Man, this stuff is not disrespected to nobody. Now, listen to this closely. Esau, well, like I said, when you get the Jewish encyclopedia, this is easy to look up, is the elder son of Isaac and Rebekah, twin brother to Jacob. Twin brother to Jacob, and the progenitor of the Edomites. Twin brother of Jacob. I can get with all other things. I mean, you tell me, twin as in, hey, that's why I said, I'm not here to tell nobody to get a, hey, Brother Bate, he using pun. So twin as in look the same. The elder son of Isaac and Rebekah, twin brother to Jacob, and the progenitor of the Edomites, twin brother to Jacob. What type of twin brother you say? Explain it to me. Explain it to me some other way. So all these brothers try to use this thing, I'd be like, dude, you're going to get caught up in a web. Why? Because biblically, you off. Biblically, you totally off. Who? I ain't going outside the biblical scripture. I'm not going outside the history of what you're talking about, of what you promulgating. And it only takes, this is the elementary student. I have one of my elementary students illuminate this. What, an elementary student. And everybody have to listen to the mouth of a babe. You will have to. The elder son of Isaac and Rebekah, twin brother to Jacob, and the progenitor of the Edomites. So traditionally viewed in rabbinic literature as so-called evil, hypocritical, and a secular hunter, he is defined by selling his so-called birthrights for pottage and his later role as an antagonist to Israel. That sounds like anybody in our families or somebody we know. That ain't talk about they know other man. Where's you getting that from? I'm waiting. So the so-called birth appearance, born covered in red hair. He was named Esau and later called Edom, red. So the Mithras paints him as cunning, violent, and outwardly acting like a good son to deceive his father, while inwardly harboring malice. I mean, so what are we saying, y'all? Relationship with Jacob. Despite their strife, the two eventually reconciled, though they chose separate paths. Jacob focusing on spiritual matters and Esau on worldly pursuits, per se. Symbolism. In later Jewish tradition, Edom, Esau, became a symbolic name for Rome and subsequently forces that historically opposed the so-called Jews people. And according to different texts like the Talmudic account in the Babylonian Talmud, Esau was killed by Hushim, son of Dan, after attempting to stop Jacob's burial in the cave of Machpelah. I'm just saying, like it's more. But when I say when you bring this, you're gonna have to bring this. When you bring this, you're gonna have to bring this. You know? I mean, it's just what it is. No matter how you want to talk about, how you want to say it, or you want to do another one. Let's see. Let me see something. If I can find this last one, and we out here. We've been going for a mighty minute. Let me see if I got that. No, I haven't found it. It's like when you talk about Esau, I'll show you Edom. Oh, because you know Edom is the name which was given to Esau. You know that, right? Damn, my thing's so small. Also, Edom was a kingdom, man. Like, it's just so much that can be illuminated for our brothers and sisters where you would be like, oh, man, we've been religiously hoodwinked. So I just hope people, man, get with us, man, get with me. I'm right here. I'm not here to hide nothing, but we are here to illuminate things. This is what I call the uniting of Asia. Wisdom's supposed to be shared. And when we do that, this is the great migration per se. What? Of understanding, of wisdom. When I tell people, man, it's an oath of brotherhood. It's an oath of understanding. And when you understand, we can have these conversations Islamically, on a Christian aspect, on a Masonic keys aspect, on a Kemetic keys aspect, on a metaphysical aspect, on a Gnostic aspect, you know, on a Kemetic aspect, on any aspect, on a conscious aspect, dealing with the levels of the brain, dealing with our African culture, you know, all those tools in the toolbox, we definitely can have a clear understanding to get clear. And also, I'm a source of information. So, once again, man, I thank y'all for your time. We've been going for a minute. Peace, love, light, and illumination.